I'd like to begin this session by sharing a quote from Shunryu Suzuki. He says, "These forms are not the means of obtaining the right state of mind. To take this posture is itself to have the right state of mind. There is no need to obtain some special state." And then further along, he says, "Now I'd like to talk about our Zazen posture." So first I should say that for me anyway, there's a direct connection between yoga and Zazen, or seated cross-legged posture. And it's important to keep in mind a little bit of the history of yoga, that it started out as a meditative discipline. In fact, for the longest time, that's what yoga was, that's what meditation was referred to, synonymous with yoga for the longest time until the modern period. So here's what Suzuki Roshi says about Zazen. He says, when you sit in the full lotus position, so first of all, full lotus is where we put one foot on top of the other thigh and the other foot on top of the other thigh, like so. I don't like to do this posture for very long, just because it's very hard on the knees, and if I'm not stretched properly, I won't be able to really hold this, and I risk doing damage to my knees or to my hips or maybe even to my back. So I'm very cautious about holding this posture. However, we should keep in mind that this is something that is uh, something to strive for in zazen, in yoga. And when we're doing yoga postures, we're doing things like opening up our hips so that we can sit in this way, even if it's for 30 seconds or for a minute. The amount of time we can sit in meditation is not so important as the quality. And as long as we're comfortable sitting like this, there's nothing inherently problematic about it. But he says, when you sit in the full lotus, your left foot is on your right thigh and your right foot is on your left thigh. When we cross our legs like this, even though we have a right leg and a left leg, they have become one. Now, we can't tell the difference between one leg or the other when we sit in this way. The position expresses the oneness of duality. Not two, not one. This is really basic Zen teaching. Not two, we're not two, and we're not one. Right? We might think we're one. Right? We come to yoga and we realize oneness. But Zen says not one and not two. We're neither one nor two. And so Zen plays with that part of our mind that wants to define who or what we are. Not one, not two. Right? This is the most important teaching. Not two, not one. Our body and mind are not two and not one. If you think your body and mind are two, that is wrong. If you think they are one, that is also wrong. Our body and mind are both two and one. We usually think that if something is not one, it is more than one. If it is not singular, it is plural. But in actual experience, our life is not only plural, but also singular. Each one of us is both dependent and independent, says Suzuki Roshi. Right? And I think this is also getting to the heart of yoga practice. A lot of people will say, when I do yoga, I feel at peace, I feel that oneness. And as soon as we say that, we're caught. We're caught on one side. Not two, not one. Or both two and one. All right. So let's make our back nice and tall. Sit in a comfortable cross-legged posture. If you can't do full lotus, that's totally fine. You can always do You can always try anyway, half lotus, like so. Or if that's too much for the knees, if there's a lot of pressure there, maybe start out with quarter lotus or Burmese, where you have both your feet down. And if the knees don't want to go down, you can always start in with legs crossed, right? Maybe one knee's up, maybe with the ankles crossed. This is fine too. The important thing with Zazen practice is that we experiment. All right, let's do some yoga now to help to open up our hips so that we can, at the end of the class, we'll return to attempting Zazen, right? Maybe we can make some improvements in how we sit. All right, so let's come to a standing, and we'll start out by just simple warming our body up. All right. Great. All right. And starting out with bringing our hands in front of our heart, reaching forward and up, breathing in, exhaling and folding forward. Right, opening the back of the legs, shaking out the head a little bit. Right, opening the backs of the legs is really, I find, very helpful for keeping the knees healthy. One thing you can do here as we're in this forward fold is to take hold of your legs. Take hold of the back of your legs with your hands as your head comes down in towards your knees. Okay, and then stepping the left foot back. Here's the first hip opener. All right, here's the first hip opener. So we're just rocking a little bit here. And then stepping back to downward dog. Right, opening up the back a little bit. Breathe here. So again, let the elbows be straight as the forehead comes down towards the mat. You can stretch the hands up higher, towards the top of the mat. Draw the heels down towards the mat. Okay, let's bring the knees down, come forward and lower the head all the way down. Roll on up. Downward dog. Breathe. And left foot forward. And get the other hip. Let's get the other hip going here. Rocking a little bit. Right foot steps forward. Straightening the knees a little bit. Take a nice deep breath here to fill the back up. Okay, and then when you're ready, stand. Sweep the arms overhead and back for a little bit of a back bend. And then palms in front of the heart. We'll go right into number 2. Inhale. Exhale. Right foot back. Okay, you can rock a little bit forward and backward. Left foot back. Lower the knees and come down. Peel up the front. Exhale to down dog. Right foot forward. And left foot forward. Come up to standing. Arms overhead. Palms in front of the heart. Okay, number 3. Inhale up. Exhale, fold forward. Left foot back. Right foot back. And straightening the knees and straightening the elbows. And let's bring the knees down, the head down, the whole body comes down. Peel up and downward dog. Left foot forward. And right foot forward. Come on up and back. And palms in front of the heart. All right. Move this a little bit closer. Just some things here. Okay. All right. There we go. So let's start up again in the top of the mat, sweeping the arms up and back, fold forward, then the right foot back. I'm gonna do some hip openers here, right? So I'll start out, I'll keep the knee raised a little bit and just rock here, just kind of massaging the hips. You might feel it more in one hip than the other. Rock a little bit back and forth. Okay, well, now let's bring that knee down, bringing the left hand on the inside, and you can allow that left knee to kind of drape here out to the side. You can see how I'm doing this. This is straight up. I'm just kind of bringing my foot out, my toes coming out to the side, and just letting that knee down a little bit. A nice stretch in this part of the leg. Right? And if that feels comfortable, you can bring your elbows down if it feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable, then maybe not. All right. And so this is called lizard. You could also uncurl your back toes if you want to, if that's more comfortable for you. I leave that to your discretion. And just holding here, just holding the pose like this is enough. All right. Let's bring the hands back up if they're down. Curl the back toe under if it's not, and come into downward dog. Take some breaths here. Okay, from here, let's shift forward into plank. Come on forward into plank. We use our upper body here a little bit. Come up onto the tips of your toes. Engage your core muscles. Squeeze the shoulders in together. Bend the elbows, come down. Peel up. Upward dog. You can lift the knees up off of the ground. And then we just kind of roll over the toes, come back to downward dog. Make some space in the shoulders. And let's step the right foot forward. Right, same thing, rocking a little bit here. Right hand comes on the inside of the right leg. And the same thing, I'm going to step that right foot out a little bit. It looks a little bit. So, stepping the right foot out, lowering the knee, maybe uncurling the toes in the back. Gonna rock here a little bit. Notice how my knees just start to come down slowly. And if that feels good, can come down a little bit lower. Clasping the hands, and just let that hip stretch. Let that hip stretch a little bit, do its work in the pose. Keeping in mind, this is why the yogis started doing what we refer to today as yoga, is because they wanted to be able to sit comfortably in the lotus posture. And so they developed these ways of using the body and manipulating the body so that stretch those muscles and find a way to find some comfort and ease in the body when doing lotus posture. Of course, we don't have to do yoga for the sole sake of trying to get into a lotus posture, but this is certainly one of the historical reasons for doing yoga, and it's good to be reminded of that. All right, let's come back up to a lunge. So make your way back up to that lunge, and we can just step that right foot back. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we're going to step the left foot forward, right? We already did downward dog. So let's lift that back leg up, step it forward, forward fold, straighten the knees, hold the backs of the legs, give the backs of the legs a little stretch. Shake out the head. Okay, and then lifting up and back. All right, and then we'll just lower the hands down to the sides. All right. Okay, let's come into downward dog. Coming into downward dog when you're ready. Adjust adjust your feet, maybe making them further apart or closer together, right? This is an experiment. All right, now we're going to do another hip opener. Let's bring the right foot in towards the center of the mat and lift the left leg up, bend the knee, and send it back. Send that, open the hip up here a little bit, that left hip. Breathe into it. Nice hip open. Okay, getting a different part of the hip. Let's bring that left foot down, put it where the right foot was or near to where it was. Same thing, right leg comes up, bend the knee, open the hip up. Feel that nice deep stretch, that right hip. Remember to breathe here. All right, then put the right foot down into downward dog and make some space between the feet. Remember to breathe. Use your shoulders here in downward dog, not your arms, not your elbows, but your shoulders. Open the fingers wide. Enjoy down dog. All right, another hip opener. Bring that right foot into the center. Left leg lifts up. Bend the knee, and this time we're going to swing it forward between the hands and gently place it down. Right? So this is the motion here. Bend the knee, bring it forward and down. Okay? Where your left foot is going to be dependent on how you feel in this posture. So take the time to adjust it. You can adjust your knee, make it wider or make it narrower, or in other words, bring it out to the side or bring it towards the center. Let me demonstrate that. So maybe the knee is more like this, maybe the knee's out like that. Take some time to feel this. So we're moving into pigeon. Back foot, you can uncurl if that's comfortable for you. Right? See how that feels. It's a nice hip opener. And if this is comfortable, if you feel at ease in this pose, you can bring your elbows down again like we did before, clasping the hands, opening up that hip. right? The left hip, muscles around the left hip. And just let the posture do its work. If you're not comfortable in the posture, then by all means shift until you find the right place. Right? There's not a right or a wrong here. It's just sometimes we have to experiment. Again, with the knee, where do you want to place it? How do you want to have your arms? Where do you want to have your head? These are questions that we want to keep asking ourselves as we do this yoga class. Right? Is this the best there is? Or is there a different way I should be feeling right now? And that said, there's no should be's either. Should be feeling, right? But we want to use our intuition, listen to our body. And if you get a sense that you could do better than what you're doing, then explore that. Just explore that. All right. So let's come back make our way up and back into downward dog. All right. Take your time. You might feel a little stiff here in the hips. So take the time you need to make your way back into downward dog. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. But first, let's be in downward dog together. Enjoy the benefits of downward dog, getting that head lower than the heart. And does, what that can do physiologically is tame the wild side of us, that wild side of our mind, having the head lower than the heart. You might even feel a relief in the heart, doesn't feel like it has to work as hard or try to be somebody or something. We bow our lower nature down to our higher nature. All right, let's go into the other leg. We're lifting the right leg up, swing it forward, and gently place it down. Gently. There might still be some stiffness in the left hip, so take that into consideration. Where do you want to have your knee? My knee is almost in the center of the mat here, and I think I'm going to try moving it out a little bit. That's that's one way. That's one possibility. Right. Turn a little bit. Turn the shoulders back and forth a little bit. Maybe look over one shoulder. That could give you a nice little hip stretch as well. Looking over the other shoulder. Right. Maybe coming down to the elbows if you haven't already. We spend just a reflection is that we spend so much time in chairs that our hip muscles, the muscles around our hips are shortened because of that. And so spending time like this, sitting on the floor, doing yoga really helps to open us up in the hips, helps to reduce back pain stemming from stiffness in the hips. All right, let's make our way back to downward dog. Curl the back toes if they're not already. Lift up the hips. Okay. Push into the hands, engage your core muscles. Straighten your elbows. Use your shoulders here to come back into down dog. Okay, let's walk the feet to the hands and bring them to the outsides of the hands. Bring the hands to the insides of the feet. Dig the elbows into the shins as you squat. As you come into a squat, you can change that digging of the elbows into the thighs if that works better for you, or into the knees. But right, just digging the elbows in to the legs to open up the insides of the hips. Breathe. All right, while we're down here near the floor, I want to show you a somewhat advanced yoga posture. So try it if you want, but don't feel like you have to do it or be able to do it. This is a simultaneous balance and hip opener. So I'm going to sit down on one heel. I'm sitting down on one heel, my heel right in between my two sit bones. And then I'm going to bring, using my hands to help me balance here, I'm going to bring my left foot up on my right thigh like so. All right. And then if you can, try balancing. This really works those ankle muscles there. All right. And then down and switch the feet. This is a feet not having fun yet. Hopefully this will create a little bit of fun. All right, let's try the other side. All right, bring that foot up there. Sometimes one side is easier to do than the other side. Check it out. You can always try one hand at a time, right? Yeah, for me too. One side is definitely easier than the other for some reason. All right. Let's do a slightly different version of this. We're going to try tree pose. So for this one, let's start out bringing the foot, one of the feet, into the opposite thigh. All right. Use your arms for balance. Let the focus of the eyes be soft. Let the focus of the eyes be soft. Feel the heart. Feel any sensations in the chest as a result of softening the eyes. See if you can bring a soothing breath to this practice. All right, let's switch to the other side and circle that foot around the ankle a few times to loosen it up again. Plant it, bring the other foot up. Arms come out to help balance. Soften the gaze. Soothing breath. All right, great. Let's release that foot. Now, here's another way of doing tree that's a little bit more advanced. Again, feel free to just watch or try it out if you want to. This one is a tree pose, a balancing pose with a hip opener. So we bring that one foot up to the opposite thigh, similar to like a half lotus posture. Let the knee come down gently. But if there's any pain in the knee, then stop before you get there. Stop before you get to that pain. All right, so balancing. If you need to hold on to something in the process, go ahead. There's no shame. You're going to have to find that you need to bend your standing leg in order to hold the foot up there like that. All right. Use your arms to help you balance. You can bend that knee as much as you want. Another form of tree. All right, let's release out of that gently, slowly, and go on head over to the other side. All right, maybe circle that foot around a few times. Lift it up there gently. Hold on to that knee. Try not to twerk your ankle. Gently laying it down, bending the standing leg. All right, bend as much as you want here. Of course, the more you bend, the harder it is on the muscles there. But the easier it is to balance. But if you work those muscles, you're going to get some strong knees in the process. I promise you. And don't be afraid to hold on to something like a chair or the wall if you need to. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's release gently. Remember, the way that we come out of something is the way that we're going to enter into the next pose. All right. Take a moment to rest. Let's do another, we'll do another balancing pose. So just rest for a few moments. Lift this up a little bit higher. This next one is another fun one. And if you have a strap, you might want to use it, or a belt. You might want to use it on this next one. All right, so take that strap, bring it around the ball of the foot, hold it with 2 hands, lift up the leg as high as you can. All right, lifting up that leg. If that works well, you want to try holding onto your big toe. This is an option as well if you want to not use the strap. All right, that's hard on my hamstring though, so I'm going to just keep it in the strap. All right, you can get as close to your foot as works for yourself, for your leg. Don't worry if your knee is not perfectly straight here. This is going to be really challenging because we're both balancing and we are stretching the hamstring. Okay. All right, let's gently release, and try the other side. Let's try the other leg. Right, again, hold on to a chair or the wall if you need to for this. Remember to breathe. And 3, 2, 1. Let's release. All right, we're going to do something, something similar on this next one. Again, you can choose to, we're going to straighten out the leg like we just did, except this time we're going to turn it out to the side. Okay, so it'll look something like this, right? Bringing the leg forward and then bringing it out to the side. I'm going to straighten up the back as much as possible here and give that hip here a nice stretch. Right. And release. Another way to do this is to put your foot up on a ledge like a table or a chair. And then you don't have to use the muscles in your hands to grip your strap. All right, let's try the other leg. And then you can also work on your posture on your back. So this one, so yeah, let's try to go forward and then out to the side. You can see my knees a little bit bent there. There it goes. Straighten it out a little bit, maybe. Lengthen up the back. And release gently. Remember, the way that we come out of one pose is going to affect how we go into the next pose. All right. Let's put that strap down for a second. Let's try triangle. Be a little bit of a complement to what we just did. Right. So making the feet wide, right, turning the toes out, arms out over the legs, reach forward. Right hand comes down, left hand comes up. Get a stretch again on the inside of the right thigh. Actually, the back corner, left corner of the right leg, the back left corner of the upper right leg, if that makes sense. The upper right leg, back side, left corner. Right? Again, connecting these asanas to the hips. Let's try the other side. All right, switching the feet around. Yeah. Just doing this, I can feel a stretch in this part. All right, this is the back. The right, now this time is the back right corner of the left leg that's opening up here. Okay, and then coming back up. And then let's do one of my absolute favorite hip openers. This is reverse triangle. Right? We'll point our legs, right foot forward, left foot back, out to the side. Want to bring our arms out perpendicular to our legs, and then bring the left arm forward, the right arm back as we lower the whole body down. Rotate the back. Feel that in the back of the leg, as well as in the back and maybe the outside of the right hip. Internally rotating the left shoulder, straightening the elbow. Now, if you can't go all the way down to the floor, no problem. In that case, let's get a chair. right? You just go down to the seat of the chair. There's always other ways to do this to get the same benefits. So if I'm doing something that doesn't work for you, you can always come up with another way. And feel free to let me know that. And if you're bereft of ideas of how to do these, we can work at it together and see what might work. Right? I get a lot of benefit using that chair. It's a nice way to do it as well. All right, let's try the other side. Okay. Pointing my legs the opposite way, left foot. This is my left leg, pointing in the forward direction. Arms come out and begin to fold. Bring the right arm forward, left arm back. I will admit it took quite some time to be able to get my palms down to the mat. So another way to do this is use your fingertips or to use a block to put them on, right? Or books. You can put some thick books underneath your hand here. In either case, we want to feel it stretch, maybe the outside of the left hip, maybe also the hamstring. Internally rotating the right shoulder, straightening the right elbow. All right, let's come on up. Remember, the way that you come up will affect the next posture. The way that we end one thing is the way we begin the next thing. All right. Got a lot of hip openers here. Let's come on down to the mat. Come on down to your front side, laying down, and we will engage with some back strengthening poses. Just some brief back strengthening poses here. Ready? Cobra. Hands under the shoulders, feet together. Lifting up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Don't use the arms so much. The muscles in the arms are just relaxed, other than squeezing the shoulder blades together. The arms are relaxed. All right, let's lower the head and bend the knees, reach back for the feet or the ankles, push them into the hands to lift the knees up off the ground. Keep the feet, draw the feet close to one another as you do this. But they want to separate, but so you can keep those feet together as much as possible. And relax. Okay, we'll roll over onto our side and then onto our back. Recenter onto your mat. Reaching the arms out over your head. Take a deep breath in, lock the thumbs. Peel up. Fold over the body. Fold over the legs. We've been doing quite a number of forward folds here. This is just to ease out of those back strengthening poses. All right, and let's come on back onto our back. Lift the knees up and then bring the left foot on the right thigh. Lift up the right foot. Interlace the hands around the right knee and draw it towards your body. This is another way to do a hip opener. It's a little bit more gentle on the hips, maybe a little bit easier. Just draw that knee in gently, and then switch sides. Switch over to the other leg. Draw the left leg in. I notice for me, my right hip is a lot tighter than my left hip. That's how it's been for my whole life. It's just no matter how much I work on it, one side, my left hip is generally more flexible than my right hip. And I just say that to point out that you might have similar findings, one part of your body being more flexible than the other part. Pretty much the case for everyone. All right, let's release. Work our way into, I'm gonna just tuck my shirt in here, tuck my undershirt in, and we'll move into shoulder stand. All right, so we'll prepare for shoulder stand. Go ahead and lie down on your back side. And if you know shoulder stand, just go right on into it. If you don't know shoulder stand, we'll just bring the hands to the side of the body. Lift the legs up towards the ceiling. Push into the hands so that the low back comes up. Adjust your head and slowly lift the legs up towards the ceiling. Right? Take your time here. Listen to your back and neck. If there's any sudden pain in your neck, pinching, or in your shoulders, or in your head, or your eyes, that might be a signal to come out of the pose. Use your judgment, use your wisdom here. The point is not to force our body into a form it doesn't want to, it's not ready for, but to respect it. There are multiple ways of doing shoulder stand. For this class, we'll just do this one. But if you'd like to know other ways of doing this, then I can happy to demonstrate them. The beauty of shoulder stand is we really reap the benefits of relaxing the heart muscle. The feet are lifted up over the head like this. The heart is above the head. Gravity gets to work on in the opposite direction that it usually is working. And that just rests the whole heart muscle. Notice also your respiration may change. You might start noticing your exhale is a little bit longer, maybe twice the length that it usually is. All right, now coming out of the pose, we do the same thing we did to come into the pose. We bring the legs over the head gently, bring the hands down to the mat slowly. Now, if you feel like doing plow, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can just lower your back down one vertebra at a time. This is plow pose when we bring our toes down behind our head. This is called plow. Halasana. This is nice one for stretching the back of the legs. But be very careful if you're feeling strain in the back. That might be a signal to come out of the pose or to do it another day. Right? And then from here, I'm just going to lower down my back, one vertebra at a time. And I'm using my hands to help lower down as well as my abdomen. They're engaging those different muscles through the body. It's wonderful to be in touch with those muscles and those parts of our body. Know that they're alive, that they exist through yoga. What a gift. Okay, now we grab hold of our legs or put our hands underneath our buttocks, dig into our elbows, lift up our chin high, lift up our sternum high, gently placing the crown of our head down to the mat. Breathe deep. Okay, and then reverse and lift back up in a half seated posture, gently lowering the back down and resting. Rest the back. Now we'll go straight into deep relaxation. So find a comfortable place for your hands and feet to rest. And begin to soften all the muscles throughout your body. This is very important for developing the kind of body, a supple, pliant body that we want for not just for meditation, but just for engaging in our life in general. We want to have some suppleness. And so we practice just letting go, deep relaxation of the whole body from head to toe. All right. From here, we'll wiggle the fingers and toes. Just a kind of a short, deep relaxation. You can always do this longer if you want. Roll to one side and then make your way up to a seat. And we'll close by right, checking out how you know, how our hips are, how our back is. You might feel stiff or you might feel really supple now. So try out some different postures here for Zen meditation, right? If you want to try a full lotus, see if the knees don't feel a little bit more ready for that, the hips maybe more comfortable. We don't feel like that's that doesn't define success here. Whatever works for your legs at this time. Maybe a half lotus, quarter lotus, right? Whatever it is for you. Let's lengthen the back up. Hands come into the cosmic mudra, thumb tips lightly touching. Eyes lowered with a soft gaze. And also give yourself credit for being able to go through this whole class all the things that we achieved through this class, this 1 hour. All right, let's dedicate our practice. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. A reminder to not worry about the length of time that you're sitting in meditation, right? If it's 10 seconds, it's 10 seconds, right? The length of time doesn't matter. Just the fact that we put ourselves into a meditative posture for some, even if it's a few seconds, and we keep working at it. All right, take care.